When the new Scrambler 1200 range was launched, it was this bike, the X, that grabbed my attention. I think it's a bike that has been missing from the Scrambler range, and I think it's a bike that has got a broader appeal than potentially the XE. Hear me out on this. Now, I'm not about to knock the 1200 XE, don't worry, it is a fantastic bike. I have friends that own those bikes, absolutely love them and ride the snot out of them. However, there are people that would like a 1200 Scrambler but don't want or need that big ground clearance, the high long travel suspension, or all the bling that comes with it, myself included. I bought a Street Twin on the launch day back in 2016 and absolutely loved that bike, and arguably it's the bike that propelled my YouTube channel along in the early days. I virtually turned that into a street scrambler by the time I'd finished with it, because that's the bike I would have bought if it had been available when I bought the Street Twin. The only thing I wish the Street Twin was a little bit bigger. I'm not a big guy, I'm 5'10", but I always felt that I looked a little bit like a circus gorilla riding it, and I wanted something with just a little bit more physical size. But surely the Scrambler 1200 XC and XE came along and gave me a solution. Well, yes and no. Agreed, they are physically bigger, but I didn't want or need that taller suspension, but I also didn't want those blingy gold forks. I wanted a bigger 1200 street scrambler, and that's what we've got here. Gone are the Öhlins and Brembos, replaced with Marzocchi and Nissin. A downgrade, I hear you shouting. Well, yes, but the 1200X doesn't need those parts. It would be nice to have adjustable suspension, but 85% of people that have it don't adjust it from the factory settings. The X is more stripped back, returning to the original ethos of the Triumph modern retro range. The black forks tone down the look of the bike. They look classy and are right for what it is. The suspension travel and ground clearance is lower, but that makes the seat height lower too, which makes the X more manageable for more people. The brakes are more basic, but they do a very good job. It needs no more. Similarly, the Speedo, which shares its internals with the Trident and Tiger 660, to name just two. It tells you all you need to know in a clear manner, and I personally think it's a nicer unit, more in keeping with the bike. It's fabulous to ride, the engine is just so good, and I love just riding that torque and short shifting around the countryside. It'll tackle off-road riding too. I don't think many people are taking these sorts of bikes on really technical terrain, but that's again not what they are about. Maybe I'm just old, but scramblers aren't meant to be enduro bikes or trail bikes. I took this down some local byways. It was only the tyres that held me back in the muddy conditions. But a Scrambler started off as a street bike and was adapted for the dirt. This is close to that original idea, except we have modern benefits too: ABS, traction control, rider modes and slip assist clutches. I think the 1200X makes for a perfect big street scrambler, and it definitely has a place in that scrambler lineup. I definitely own one, and the short period of time that I've had this has definitely given me the wants. Sure, it hasn't got the top-end componentry of the XE, and some will argue that it's even a downgrade on the old, now discontinued 1200XC, but it is cheaper, and I think it's aimed at a different audience. Given this marque's heritage, this is probably not the right phrase, but vive la différence. Well played, Triumph, well played.